With the first pick overall, the New Jersey Devils are proud to select from the U.S. program, Jack Hughes.
Let's go, baby!
Lays it across, Vatanen drives, score! Sammy Vatanen let it rip. It's a power play goal, and the Devils have opened it up.
Oh, my.
Nico walking in, shooting, score! Nico Hischier on the rush, ends it in overtime, and the Devils win it in Montreal.
Greetings, everyone. We all know it's going to be the holidays and whatnot, but buzz driving is certainly a buzz kill. Literally. Buzz driving is drunk driving, and if you need to do something to feel better to drive, you're not okay to drive. Enjoying a night and find yourself oversharing or taking too many selfies? If the answer is yes, then you're noticing your buzzed warning signs. Buzz warning signs include overtexting, taking too many selfies, oversharing, chugging water to sober up, turning the music down to focus, chewing gum, popping mints, eating snacks to soak up the alcohol, drinking coffee to sober up, splashing water on your face, doing jumping jacks. When you spot your buzz warning sign, call a cab, car, or a friend when it's time to go home. Just don't drive home. It's not right. A message to you by the NHTSA, NHTSA, and the Ad Council. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jersey Joe Corner. It is brought to you by Big Heads Media. It is going to be a great hockey season coming right up. A lot of interesting things. Anchor.fm will help you start your podcast and get things rolling. It's going to be a lot smoother when you get the Anchor app, and it's so much easier to navigate. Even their online website at anchor.fm is very efficient, and you can do a lot of great things with it. Support for the Jersey Joe Corner podcast comes from Manscaped. They are awesome in men's below-the-waist trimming. Manscaped delivers precision tools for your kahunas. This is why Manscaped has re-engineered the electric trimmer. Their Lawnmower 2.0 has the proprietary skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't get you in the family jewels or anywhere sensitive. Manscaped accidents are basically a fossil in the past. And don't use the same trimmer that you use to clean your face that you use downstairs. That is just gross. Manscaped has the crop preserver and anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already use that stuff for your armpits, but why not do it downstairs? That's the most smelliest part of your body. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code BIGHEADS, all caps, BIGHEADS at manscaped.com. Always use the right tools to get the job done. Your kahunas will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BIGHEADS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Please use BIGHEADS, all caps.
Yo, Jersey Joe in the house with your boy.
Jersey Jim, what's going on?
Holy Hall, it is over.
It is over. It is finally over.
Wait is finally over.
Friday night, we've been waiting for this deal. He was scratched against Colorado, scratched against Arizona. Thought it was done Friday. Thought it was done Saturday. And then this afternoon it picks up, and Taylor Hall is going to the Arizona Coyotes.
I can't believe we just were both off on this day or had plenty of time on this day. As per Chris Johnston, retweeted by Corey Masisak of The Athletic, Hockey Night in Canada's Chris Johnston put, the New Jersey Devils retained 50% on Taylor Hall's $6 million salary cap hit. Corey Masisak put out, can confirm the trade for New Jersey Devils Taylor Hall to Arizona, 3 prospects plus 2 conditional draft picks. One is a conditional first rounder, Kevin Ball, who plays with 3 New Jersey Devils picks for the Ottawa 67s. Is expected to be one of the prospects.
And that is confirmed that it is Kevin Ball, the defenseman, forward Nick Merkley, and forward Nate Schnarr, along with a first-round conditional 2020 pick and a third-round conditional 2021 pick.
And basically, the Devils retain $3 million of Taylor Hall's $6 million. So going forward, this is like pennies on the dollar for the Devils' ownership, and I know
exactly. I mean, it's not
much to these guys. I mean, they're billionaires. What else you expect?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but the Devils had to retain 50% of the salary because the Coyotes didn't have much cap space. So unless an actual NHL player was coming back in this deal, then this is what they would have to do. And by the way, I'm just going to throw it out there because somebody on Twitter asked me about this back in the summer. When I was doing our rumors report for Last Word on Hockey, I had said that the Devils and Coyotes would be trading. I just didn't know it was going to be for this player.
You know, it's like we talk about, like, in the offseason, Taylor Hall called out, Ray Shearer to make these moves. And it's like, let me rewind the clock, right? So let's go back to 2011 in June. And I have viewers listening who's going to say, Jersey Joe, what are you talking about? This is a Taylor Hall trade podcast. Well, in order to start this, you have to rewind the VHS tapes, if anyone remembers those.
I mean, we can go in the way back machine, as I like to say. We could go back in the time machine. Let's go back. Let's take the story back a couple of chapters, and let's go back to the end of last season, because that's what everybody likes to do.
So here we go. Put a quarter in the merry-go-round, as we all say. The Devils won the draft lottery that year to move up, I believe, from 7th to 4th overall, which they could have gotten first. But they drafted a young man named Adam Larson. And in the 2015-2016 regular season became the summer of Taylor Hall. The Devils traded for Taylor Hall 1-for-1. And Hall kind of built his return on equity, and he really did. And you look at after this offseason, the Devils try to try and whet his appetite a little bit more and make him want to stay. But he helps sink the ship in the first, what you want to call it, 1/3 of the season, and he just wasn't, buying into the whole, coaching and all the locker room stuff. And even Kyle Palmieri's wife had like a celebration of a goodbye party before the trade happened.
Yeah, and Hall he did well in New Jersey. They won he wins the Hart Trophy in 2017-18 season. Devils make the playoffs. All right, everything seems to be going upward. Then they take a step back, and I just got to go ahead a little bit before we go back. In the summer, when he was on Edmonton radio, he again pointed to the GM during the offseason of 18-19 and said that the Devils had kept the same team going into the season, really didn't do anything. Okay, so they don't do anything. They finish near the bottom of the league. They get the first overall pick, and they get Jack Hughes. And, Taylor Hall had, he only played 37 games because he gets injured, it's a knee injury, and he's out. He was still about a point per game player, but they weren't clicking. Okay, get to the end of the season. It's locker cleanout time. Says we don't have enough talent on this team. Okay, general manager then in the summer says, all right, well, we know we're getting Jack Hughes. What do? All right, go get PK Subban. Fortunately, he hasn't been the player that he was, but it's okay. You sign Wayne Simmons $5 million, and you go trade for Nikita Gusev as the unknown in all this thing. Devils look like they've gotten better. Unfortunately, there's no extension. Shiro, there's no extension. There's really no talk of an extension. And Dave Pagnotta comes out and says Hall's probably not going to resign in New Jersey. Okay.
There was a lot of
Makes
backfire.
sense. A lot of backfire over that. But you know what? In the end, he was probably right, because if you look at the moves the Devils make, there's no extension. There's no even talk of an extension. And he's still talking out the other side of his mouth, saying, and the way he says things about New Jersey and the Devils and all this stuff, fine, okay, works. Start of the season, Devils, they don't get off to a great start. It's been documented. We've discussed it. Whatever.
We wrote about it. We smoked it. Well, not literally, but we marinated it.
We've done that. We've put that horse out to pasture. Come Friday, I get a text, and then the whole internet explodes that Taylor Hall is going to be scratched. And you're like, okay, well, thinking of Colorado.
That's where you came in. You messaged me.
Right. And I said, well, and everybody's been saying if it was Colorado, it wasn't going to be Byram. And I knew that, because it didn't make sense that Colorado was just going to give up on a guy that he just drafted last year. All right. Then nothing happened. He gets pulled from the warm-up. He's not in the press box. Where is he? Then come Arizona, he's obviously not going to play. There's no kidding. But he's up in the press box this time. And things are picking up, but then things die down. And then you hear, well, maybe Florida's it, maybe Boston, maybe this team, that team. What's the package? What's it looking like? Then and it just kept going and going and going. And I was kept asking the same question. They can't have him, like with John Hines, they could not have him come back to New Jersey for the home game on the 18th. It didn't make sense.
And Tyler Kelly was correct.
Yes, he was correct that it was his last home game. He played in his last home game. Again, everybody has different sources on this thing. But everybody's got a piece of the action who was right, who was in on it. So that's where it is. Taylor Hall is now an Arizona Coyote with Phil Kessel, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Connor Garland. The list goes on. And the Devils get 3 prospects, a hard first-round pick, a conditional first-round pick, and a conditional third round, which could be a second if he resigns.
And as you know now, I actually paused NHL Network with Ken Danico and EJ Craddock. And that is true. The Devils did just tweet out that mentioning Taylor Hall and Blake Spears to Arizona in exchange. So I know a lot of people are going to start, clamoring and barking about who are these players that the Devils got. Well, listen up, guys and gals. I'm actually on what we call eliteprospects.com. It's one of my favorite sites that I use, so I'm not BSing anybody, but I do have a good memory. So I'm going to get to the Kevin Ball part. So for anyone who's not heard of this kid, he's a 2000 birthday, which means he's a youngin'. So he's going to be playing for the under-20 team for Team Canada. So let me spell his name for you. It's Bahl, not Ball. He's born June 27th. He's a 19-year-old from New Westminster. That is in British Columbia. He's a 6'6", 229-pound mammoth of a left-handed shot. That means we're going to have someone who's ready to go with Ty Smith this upcoming season. And so...
Yeah, that's key. Because Ty Smith will be with New Jersey at the start of the 2020-2021 season.
And I wouldn't doubt seeing this kid develop into something special. Ball seems to be more like a Chara type with the size and the physical build. I do know that right now, looking at his World Junior history, the 17s and 18s, he's got a point or two in each of those 5 games. He's certainly gotten at least 1 to 3 points. He scored at least 1 goal or 2 assists in each of those, and he goes for the Ottawa 67s in his first year. Wasn't the craziest, but he did get a goal and 3 assists, so he does score, and he got another one in his next season, 1 goal, 17 assists in 58 games, so he's improving as he's aged, and he scored 28 points in the OHL in 2018-2019, and this year he's actually 14 points behind his 34-point total from last season, but he has 40 games to go to catch up to that.
That's good. I mean, look, that's what you can expect from a guy like that. I mean, look, the Devils haven't had a big, rugged defenseman in a long time. Yeah, it's great you can move the puck. Big deal. You need to protect in front of the net, and you need to get physical in the corner, and this kid Ball can bring it. Coyotes, some people I've talked to, you wish you could have got some other prospects out of them, but you know what? A big defenseman is hard to come by in today's NHL, and if you can turn into Chara, well, that's even better.
That and if a player like that can give you a team-friendly deal, like Chara did, taking like a couple million, like he did at his 40-plus age-year-old self, that's a win for a team like that. Using that New England Patriots formula. I know Patriots and formula doesn't always go together sometimes for some people when they're listening in.
Yeah, well, Patriots, we'll get, Patriots, they're cheating again, but but that's a different thing for
a different day,
time. This is all about Taylor Hall, the trade. like you said at the beginning, to recap it, it's funny because I wasn't sure if I was around today, this and that, but once this was like getting texts and I saw everything going out, I was like, I got to make time for this to happen, and it did. And you know what? It's great. I mean, we have more breaking news on the podcast, and Taylor Hall to Arizona, who's most likely his destination anyway on Saturday, or probably haggling over something. But, it was funny because I was listening to Pagnotta and Bernstein and Peyton, a bunch of guys on the hot stove on Saturday on SiriusXM, and I called in because we were talking, and Dave had said 24 to 48 hours after Saturday that they believed it was going to get done. So it's done.
And I'm sure your source was 100% right that we were not going to get Byram. And I told Nick Villano that, my editor-in-chief, my EIC. And before I said we're going to do a podcast tonight, I was texting you earlier in the day that I mentioned Ball in my upcoming article. It's going to be posted tomorrow, but Nick Villano is going to do his addition towards my piece tomorrow because it involves Taylor Hall, Ball, and the Arizona Coyotes in that, and how the Devils are moved on from Taylor Hall, rather.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do something tomorrow or tonight or whenever. I'm going to actually break down on Last Word on Hockey the players that the Devils are going to be getting in this, just looking at them. And then obviously I'm going to post our podcast as well, linking in the boys' story because, we stubbed it already. And so we knew it was coming. So there's going to be a lot of analysis on this all night long. I wish we had a TV show to take us all night because there's a lot to dissect here. But as we've said in the past, hold on here. As we said in the past, over these last two games, the Devils have looked a lot better without Hall in the lineup.
I honestly feel the locker room is a lot cleaner, a lot fresher. And speaking of cleaner and fresher, I want to talk about that kid, Nate Schnarr. So, according to Elite Prospects, really great site, he's a February 25th birthday. He's 10 years younger than I. So, he's 6'3", 181 pounds, from Waterloo, Ontario. We have listeners from Ontario, as well as Newfoundland and Labrador. So, especially all over Canada, they're starting to listen in. This kid is he's a 2017 third round, 75th overall pick by the Coyotes. He was in the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League. He got 26 goals and 28 assists in 45 games that year in 2015-2016 season when the Taylor Hall trade began to occur, and he played for the Guelph Storm in the OHL. In his first season, he had 4 points in 6 games. He had a blend of 18 points in goals and 18 points in assists, so that's 36 points in 54 games in his first full season with Guelph. He played in the World Junior under 18 for the 2016-2017 Canada team. So then his 17, 18, and 19 seasons, he had 39, 102, and now 9 points with the Tucson Roadrunners in the AHL.
Those are good numbers. And from talking with a buddy out in Arizona, guy right with that, he's actually seen some time up there. So, this is a good return for the Devils. I mean, you're getting more prospects, you're building more, and for a guy that's going to walk in June for Arizona, I mean, yeah, you're giving up 4 or 5 pieces, but there's also a chance he resigns because the Coyotes are in a playoff spot right now, and they're playing well. And, it's funny, all the hype around Phil Kessel being there, he hasn't done much. I mean, he's starting to heat up, but Keller's drifted off. And Garland's there. And Hall might come in and take some of the pressure off those kids and those players. I mean, not to say, he's not going to garner the attention. He will, but that may allow Kessel to get going. Because what did Kessel have in Pittsburgh? Geno Malkin, right down the middle.
And Geno, being a big physical center who could also play wing at times, depending on if he had another person on his wing.
Or he was playing with Crosby up at the top line. I mean, but it makes sense because now if Kessel and Hall are together, or however they do it, it frees up one of them.
It allows them to play their game. And, speaking of playing their game, I know it's still the Taylor Hall thing, but also that other piece in the trade that the Devils got, I have to mention the other kid, Nick Merkley. And he's the brother of Jay Merkley. And he's a May 23rd birthday from 97. He's 22 from Calgary, Alberta. in Canada. We have listeners from Alberta. He's 5'10", 194 pounds. He's a right. His center that came in the trade just recent. He's a right wing and a center. From 2015, he was a first rounder in the 30th overall position. There's a scouting report written per Curtis Joe from 2014, a playmaking center that has an excellent eye for the game, sees the ice like a hawk from above, creates scoring chances and on-ice energy through taking advantage of puck possession and making the most of turnovers. Incredible work ethic, will battle against larger players and isn't afraid to do the dirty work in front of the net, does not possess the largest frame or a dynamic level of skating. However, he does boast a remarkably high level of hockey IQ and a deep understanding of the game. There is something left to be desired, having observed his individual skills, such as puck handling, foot speed, and decision making for a prolonged period of time. There is definitely room for improvement in the small areas of his game. All in all, Merkley brings a medley of skill, smarts, and work ethic to the table, making him an invaluable asset as a center.
I mean, look, the Devils have a lot of center depth, but you know, he reminds me, and I was gonna say he reminds me of a player, but that's not fair to him. He's similar to Mikey McLeod. Like, you know how Mikey McLeod's built?
Yes.
You know how we saw him in his first game on Arizona on Saturday night. Looked really good. He did. That's the best he's looked in the NHL anytime he's been called up. He was strong on the puck, looked confident, really good on faceoffs, got 2 assists. Really, really dynamic player. He looked really good. But that's because he's progressed. Yeah, the thing is, real quick, after just a quick side thing, people need to lower the expectations. Don't expect these kids to come in right away and be off the charts. There's a reason why it's called drafting and developing. Mikey McLeod went under Travis Zajak's wing, learned about playing center, and it's paying off. And that's what happened. That the same thing can happen with Merkley. He could come in and be like that.
And at the same time, you got to think about, I know there are people on not Facebook, but Twitter. I was talking to another person who I used to do a podcast with, goes by the name of Mike Rossetti. And he goes, well, why do you think they have a better offense without Hall? I mean, they can't score without him and this and that. I said, listen, if there's a guy the team down and not having chemistry and he doesn't want to be here, fine. But they looked a lot better the last 2 games. I'd rather take those 2 games, get at least an average of 2 points every 2 games versus none of those points from having him there.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were in the same debate with somebody over the weekend. I agree. The result wasn't there in Colorado, but they played fast. They played attacking. They played as a team. They did the same thing on Saturday in Arizona. And that's what you want. You want them playing as a team. They were looking too much to get the puck to Taylor Hall all the time. They were expecting him to do everything. Yeah, it's great if you're Nate McKinnon, you could do all that stuff. But also, he has 2 line mates that could get him the puck. But Hall was playing with 2 good guys, too. He didn't want to be here, and you know it. Okay? You know it, I know it, we all know it. He did not want to be here. And it affected his play on the ice. I guarantee you see a different Taylor Hall in Arizona.
And that's the only reason why he will succeed with a different group of guys and a different coach and a different GM. There's actually a couple verified people that just got retweeted by Corey Massasak. So first one is Pierre LeBrun. 26 minutes ago, there's a hard first-round pick in the Hall trade plus another conditional first round if the Coyotes re-sign Hall and win a playoff round. The conditional pick becomes a third round if neither of those things happen, and a second round pick if one of those two things happen. And then the second one is Catherine Silverman. She's got a blue check mark. She mentioned in her recent tweet, Arizona Coyotes blue line prospect Kevin Ball, 6'6", 229-pounder. But instead of bone-crushing hits, he spends his time honing his gap, control, stick work, and skating. Scott Wheeler, another checkmark person, puts down Schnarr, Merkley, and Ball are all interesting for different reasons, but none will be stars. Merkley's already a tweener. Ball has progressed more than I expected. He would, and Schnarr probably becomes a depth forward with size. Devils had to hit on that first rounder.
Yeah, I mean, it's prospects. This is what you expect when you get prospects. I mean, they're not all going to be great. Now, look, we could all get killed, and then everybody could say the Devils didn't get what they wanted, and then these guys could turn into good players in the National Hockey League. Because if I remember correctly, when Don Sweeney took over, was it 2015 in Boston?
Something like that.
2015, 2016. No. When he took over in Boston, that draft where they had 3 first-round picks in a row, it was Senejin, DeBrusk, and it was somebody else. He got killed for taking these guys. And they said, oh, yeah, only 2 of these guys are panning out. Well, guess what? Senejin's been up and playing well. The other guy's been up playing well, and Jake DeBrusk, we know what he's doing. So you got to wait and see. It's a wait and see kind of thing. And, it's a good thing that they got rid of him because I said it, you said it, our buddy Alex said it. The team checked out on the coach. He checked out on the team in training camp.
And I have to say, I was talking to Alex Chavancy of the Devils Army blog, and he did tell me, the Devils players did check out on Hines in October, and it seemed like after, Hines was, canned, Hall was still holding the locker room down. I mean, even after those post games, you could see that, eventually he was going to get sat out. So I honestly feel like, the pastures are going to be much greener. I mean, going forward, I'd rather like kids like McLeod and Bastian and all them, get their licks at the big league level here in New Jersey because, there's a reason why Ray Shero drafted them in the first place is to get them, to play center, wing, and bring size, speed, skill, grit, talent, some guts. It takes time to build a winner. And I know people are sick and tired of the rebuild of a rebuild, but, you got to condoize the situation. And when you condoize it, you basically find ways to make the team breathe better and become more successful over time.
Yeah, and it's... Sorry, I'm just texting with somebody while I'm on the phone.
It's all good.
But yeah, I mean, Corey was on Vancouver radio this morning, actually, and he even reiterated the point that you just did. Yeah, it's in the 5th year of a rebuild. But as I've told everybody, and as my buddy Greg Shaw and I got into it with somebody on a couple of Devils fan boards, you have to go. What have I been saying all along? You got to go through the misfit toys to figure out what you have, what's good and what's not good. as you and I discussed, an idea will be maybe on one of our next episodes or whenever it is, we're going to look back from 2003 till about 2015-16 and look at all the draft picks the Devils had and all of them that are not doing much outside of a handful of guys in the National Hockey League. That's the problem. That's why the team is where it is. And this is why they have to restock the cupboard.
And there's a reason why, the Devils had, promoted Gates Orlando to director of amateur scouting, and they promoted Paul Castron, the DOA, up to the next level up from that. And there's a reason they believe in those guys and finding the best, amateur and pro amateur scouting talent, if that makes sense, because you're looking for the next wave of players to hit on. Whether you drafted these guys or someone else drafted those guys, you have a book on them, and you can hit on some guys that could possibly pan out to be, really good Devils players or really decent Devils players that can, be like a David Clarkson or a Clarkson 2.0.
Yeah, it would be. You want to have a guy David Clarkson was great for this team. It's unfortunate, like guys like Clarkson and even Scott Gomez, right? They go chase the money and they don't perform as well. Or like Gomez, he was a perfect Devil. He was a perfect Devil in every other way. I don't blame him for chasing the money, but he fit the Devils perfectly. It's like Clarkson. He fit the Devils perfectly too. You have to find those players that fit your system, because when they go outside your system, they may not perform that well. And like I said, Gomez is one of them. The Devils are starting. You can slowly see it. The last two games, you can slowly see it. And Naz has done a great job. Coach Elaine Nasruddin has done a really great job of getting this team to buy into a team-first mentality. You could see it. Even the celebrations with Palmieri on that goal. It was something. It was refreshing. They're excited. And they're starting to be fun to watch. Our old friend's going to be in town on Wednesday, Adam Henrique.
And it's going to be great to have that former Devil back.
Right, it's going to be great.
And if in a small world, and Henrique wanted to return to the Devils, I would welcome back with open arms, because he did a lot for this franchise in that short amount of time. And besides the mustache thing, I remember him when he made his debut. He scored 2 goals against Winnipeg. And I remember that was when he filled in for Ilya Kovalchuk. And, that's why you have these great draft picks, really good picks that come in and they do the gut that most players don't always get to do. And, they build such a relationship, kind of like how Palmieri has built a relationship with the Devils over time since he got traded from Anaheim.
Yeah, and he'll be sticking around there for a while. And New Jersey's they're moving in the right direction. That's the big key out of all this, is that they're moving in the right direction. They're playing better, and that's the key. They're playing better. The whole thing is playing better, and yes, and getting your prospects to where they need to be. All right, Blake Spears, people had hopes for him, but you know what? You could tell he was just going to be an AHL player. He may work out in another franchise, great. But if you notice that a lot of the guys that the Devils had that were drafted by Lou that got traded elsewhere have yet to see NHL action or were released from contracts or sent to the minors or whatever. So that tells you about all you need to know about that. As far as looking ahead, the Devils play Wednesday night. Obviously, they're probably going to roll with the same lineup as they did the last 2 games. Mike McLeod will be in. Blackwood will probably start again because, you have to. That's pretty much the thing right now. And you're going to see them, the locker room, it's going to be a breath of fresh air.
I mean,
Exactly. There's going to be no more distractions. No more distractions.
no more
Coach
BS.
is gone. Coach is gone. The distracting player's gone. It's now on you.
And everyone else's feet will be right next to the fire, the campfire. Maybe a little bit hotter because the hot cocoa is getting warmer and warmer, and who knows if someone's going to get scolded on their way out.
Yeah.
I just had to throw in a holiday reference.
Exactly.
I mean, Cap Friendly just updated. I just refreshed it. They did put in the 2020 first of Arizona as a conditional, and I'm going to read this again. Trade on December 16th. Conditions. If Arizona's 2020 first selection is in the top 3, which means either win the Stanley Cup, likely the second runner-up, or the one that falls short in the Western Conference. New Jersey will receive Arizona's first-round pick in 2021. Click to view full trade details. And then, so right now that pick would be the 22nd overall from December 22nd. In this year's draft.
It's top 3 protected. It's top 3 protected. So the first round pick is top 3 protected.
Yeah, it can't go no higher than 4th.
Yeah.
So that means good luck with that part. However, the conditional pick trade on today, December 16, 2019, conditions the 3rd round pick can upgrade to a 2nd if the Coyotes win a playoff round or Taylor Hall resigns in Arizona. The pick upgrades to a 1st if Hall resigns and the Coyotes win a playoff round. Click to view full trade details. So if that were the case, it would be round 3, 64th overall from the original owner being the Coyotes.
So there you have it. So they could get some. Look, they did well. You weren't expecting the moon. You weren't expecting the stars. You weren't expecting. I mean, everybody was, expecting top end prospects. You weren't gonna get it. Let me reiterate: when Sakic traded Duchesne, when he had Nashville and Ottawa involved, he did it on his terms. When Stone went to Vegas, they had already been talking to Vegas. He wanted to go to Vegas from the start. So Vegas had to sweeten the deal. And then he resigned there because he was going to sign a contract extension. It is hard to move UFA players that are just rentals who want to test the market. It really is. And you could see it. But the Devils want to get this deal done. They wanted to get it done before the holiday freeze. And Ratio made it happen. And you can like it, dislike it. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is the Devils are moving in the right direction. Yes, you want a player like Hall, but as I've said from the beginning, and I've watched this team for a long, long time,
especially since Lou's rebuild.
Even before Lou's rebuild. But when Lou first took over this team in 87, I watched the old tapes. I grew up on the 95 team. I grew up on the 2000 team, the 03 team, the 01 team. I seen it. The Devils play systematic defense. They play as a team offensively. They've never had a big name superstar offensively that drives it all. They haven't.
Defense is the name of Devils hockey, and it is going to be part of it once Ball and Smith join this team next season together. I know a lot of the people, usually are familiar with my work when I do the draft stuff, but I will tell you this, the guy who's responsible for it now, I'm sure it's one of the other Devils amateur scouts right now. The one who was responsible for signing Mitchell Holscher the ones that was able to get Graham Clark and Nikita Hotyuk. And now that you have that connection there, those fingerprints made it a lot more easier to utilize a relationship and getting Kevin Ball as that defenseman. I think, a kid like that could certainly, step up his game to the next level when he comes up to, whether it's Binghamton or he comes up to the New Jersey Devils. If he's doing an outstanding job in the off season in summer, and he does it again, all the way through training camp, then so be it, because that's what your destiny is as a player. And the coaching staff, whether it be Elaine Nasruddin or somebody else, we'll find out who the next, head coach will be long term.
Yeah. And sorry, just reading something. It's funny because, the Bruins have been kicking tires on Toffoli with the Kings, and the Kings play the Bruins next. So I wonder if we're going to have another scenario where a guy switches locker rooms before or after the game.
And I'm sure this sets the market price for Ranger Chris Kreider. People say, why you mention a Ranger on this podcast? Well, Taylor Hall is the bellwether. And he's the guy that basically is the biggest name on the market, or just was. And he just got off the market at the right time for the Devils. And this is kind of like the template for other teams with other high-end players that want to get moved before, the February trade deadline. So this is kind of like the exact barometer that they want to use.
Yeah, and look, the other names, the other guys that have been kicking around, and I don't know if Ottawa will pull the trigger with Pajot, but, he's been hot. So, a team like the Islanders are looking to add another scorer. They could add Duclair, but he's found a home in Ottawa. I don't know if he'll want to change the city again. I think I think that's his home for a while. But guys like that, Kreider, obviously, Toffoli, guys like that. Teams are going to be looking to add little pieces here and there to get them over the hump. I do believe, though, that if the Devils and, say, for instance, St. Louis was a team, I do believe like a goalie would have been coming back in the deal. Everybody's harping on the fact they didn't get a goalie. You know what? Mackenzie Blackwood hasn't played a full season of hockey yet. And by the way, if he had a team in front of him who could play defense and maybe score, he would have a little bit more wins to his record. He's kept them in a lot of games that they should not have been in.
And there were points where, he did get lit up against Buffalo a couple times, once in relief, and, twice in relief, rather. And it's not always, gone right in certain times, but, he's starting to learn what all the bumps in the road are like at the NHL level, and he's only a young 23-year-old goaltender. So there's a point in a goalie's career where you're not at that point. You're going to be like a Tuukka Rask, or you're going to be like, how would ever I compare another young player, maybe Carter Hart at this point?
Yeah, I mean, Carter Hart, yeah, you could. Carter Hart, definitely. Hart's been, he's been a back. He's the guy in Philly now. Him and Elliott have been splitting starts. Elliott on the road, Hart at home, but Hart's the guy. You can see it. I would compare him even almost to like a Hellebuck in Winnipeg.
And it goes to show that, once we find the right backup goaltender for Mackenzie Blackwood, he has that great number two, whether it's Jill Sen next year or it's somebody else, or Eric Cormier. Who knows?
Yeah, and Cormier's still up, and what does that tell you about Schneider? Somebody pointed out that Binghamton was in Texas to play, and he was the closest guy to get there. I don't buy that for a minute. I believe that Schneider, I don't think they trust him anymore, and I think they're just going to bury his contract in the minors.
And I believe, when you think about those guys that are in the minors, they take time to develop. You can't rush certain players. Some players don't always go bang, bang, bang in their development years. It's all about the learning curve, and people are different from others. And whether it's business or is it just playing the game, it's learning it at the same time to become a better professional. And you did talk about DeBrusque, and he's one of those really good meat and potatoes guys that the Bruins really hit on. Hopefully some of these kids that the Devils acquired today can certainly be the backbone for this team going forward.
Yeah. Look, they got a lot of nice pieces. And you could see Nasreddine is starting to put them together in the right mix. That young line of Wood and McLeod the other night, they've played well together. I like what they've done there. You're putting two big bodies together. You got Hughes playing with Simmons. That's smart. Everything is now completely flipped around because, Hall's no longer there.
And go ahead.
And I'm thinking, this might be my wishful thinking and my hope, but maybe you give Nate Bastion a shot on Wednesday.
I'm all for it.
Why?
And
right?
tie him in with Beer Baron's favorite guy, Mikey McLeod, and bad boy Miles Wood.
Why not, right?
I mean, you'd have three bad boys at it. And having Wood being a physical, speedy guy, and you have Mikey McLeod being the fast, edgy, smart guy that can certainly play with a guy like Wood, and maybe a guy that can use his kahunas to block shots, kind of like a Manscaped deal.
Yeah.
Make it nice and smooth.
Make it smooth.
Transition
smooth.
Yeah.
But, it's funny because it just makes sense just to have him up there, because I think that would be, be good for McLeod especially. But, you go Wood, Bastion, and McLeod, and you think, all right, that's a tough line to play against. I don't want to play against those guys. By the way, just saw a tweet online. Jimmy Murphy, Boston Hockey Now, was listening to TSN.
Your boy.
690 in Montreal. Pierre Maguire on TSN with Melnick in the afternoon said, and I quote, "The Devils are not done dealing."
Ooh.
End quote. So, take what you want. I think a lot of guys are in play. Wood could still be in play. Wouldn't doubt Simmons would be in. I would think Simmons would probably be in play. Maybe a guy like Vatanen might be in play too.
I think you're right. I'm actually clicking on that w.tsn.ca/Radio Ottawa. I'm not sure if I can exactly get the feed, but it says Panthers are one of many teams vying for Hall. That was 10 hours ago. But I'm sure now that he's off the table, I think there's going to be a lot more to hear from when guys like Wood or Vatanen are starting to make teams more appealing to them. So, but I think Miles Wood, you don't need to really trade right away, but he'd be a good keeper of a piece on the bottom six.
Yeah, I mean he's been solid on. He's been solid, on. It's going to be interesting now, because Zacha is now your number 2 center behind Hischier. I mean, really, it should be Hughes. Hughes is your number 2. So if you think about it, now that the top line is, and there's no more Hall on the top line. So if we could go back, Boquist is there. So he's looked good. So now you got Boquist with Hischier and Palmieri. Solid line. Now, again, the guy is in a position to succeed. As I was talking about, if anybody saw my Instagram and Twitter the other day, I was in a conversation with Sean Simpson at TSN 1200, who I want to just reread. I just want to read this to you because I believe you made a comment on it. I got to scroll through a lot of things because I put a lot of stuff out over. Yeah. Where is it? I'm trying to find it now. Oh, here we go. So, Sean Simpson put out, he said, why would Shiro trade Hall now? After missing on Subban, Simmons, and Gusev, along with 7 spotty draft and coaching change, he can't risk injury to the asset. I asked him, are you calling Gusev a bust? Not properly placed when Hines was there. He's definitely played better with Zajac and Coleman. Getting Elias working with Gusev helped. Also, this team isn't any good. My opinion, though. He told me great points and he agrees. I said, thanks, Sean. And, also Simmons is I told him it was a high risk, low risk, high reward kind of thing. 1 year for $5 million isn't a big deal. They don't need to bring him back. As for Subban, he's definitely lost a step, but maybe this frees him up a little bit more because you could definitely see him as a little bit more confident Friday and Saturday night. So I think it's all good. And also, I also mentioned the fact that, I compared Subban to Carlson. The fact that, in Ottawa, he had Mark Method on his left side just to play defense. Here, they got nobody to do that because their left side's weak. The best they've been able to put is Vatanen, but it's hard. They're just still trying to figure that out.
I honestly think if a team wants size, skill, veteran leadership, and they also want a defenseman, I mentioned this team before, but they should have the Montreal Canadiens calling the New Jersey Devils back now because Vatanen's available. They can have him help on the right side. You can also make it easier for Shea Weber. Having Wayne Simmons being that big fit, I know you cover Boston with Boston hockey now, but you also have a good feeling of possibly he could go to a team like Montreal or Boston. Yeah,
I mean, and like you said, the other guy that came up in talks, I was talking with Zig the other day, Zig Fracassi, SiriusXM, he mentioned about how he likes Palmieri's game, and he thought he'd be a good Bruin. And we went a little bit back and forth there about, I said, oh, yeah, that's a possibility. I could see it. He could fit well with Krejci. But I just don't see him leaving New Jersey because I think he's found his niche there. I just don't think he wants to go back to another Anaheim situation where he was like, could he play first line? He was up in a first, then he was down a second, then he's back at a third. He's found his knack with New Jersey. I mean, he definitely could help the Bruins, especially on power play and, getting Krejci a score. But I think he's found his home in New Jersey, and I think they just clicked together.
And I also, I was listening to Beer Baron on the Let's Go Devils podcast, and I have to agree with him. It's going to be really hard to uproot a guy like him, with the Jersey roots, Montreal boy. Although he's born out of New Jersey in New York, but he spent he's most of his life in New Jersey, and he's a true Jersey boy in that sense. And he's done a lot for the Palmieri Army 21. The military and doing those fundraisers and having all these special promotions throughout the state. And then PK Subban's done that blue line thing, in New Jersey. And
blue line buddies. Yeah.
And having a guy like, Palmieri making it easier for a guy like that to do stuff for the Devils community, it's hard to just switch up and go to another team. I think that's a lot harder for Ray Shero to stomach as a business guy, but it makes sense to keep him here, especially I'm sure there are season ticket holders listening to this podcast right now that when you have someone that is a player that gives back to the community, reinvests in them because you pay their salary and everything, it's great to have these players that keep on giving back, even like the players in St. Louis that did the same thing with Layla Anderson.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want these players to give back. They're doing a great job. I think, the biggest thing, with Subban is, and it's not a knock against the guy, it really isn't. I like what he's done for the community in Newark and all his branding. But I think he needs to worry about, it's not really the brand. I like what he's doing for the community, all that stuff. But I think he needs to worry about less about his brand and more about playing hockey on the ice, because I think it doesn't matter how much time and effort you put into the gym. If you lose the speed and you lose the pace and you can't keep up with the pace of play anymore, it doesn't matter what you do in the gym. You're never getting it back.
Yeah.
And I still think he has a lot of hockey left to give. And it could be an adjustment. Maybe it is an adjustment, like what Pavelski's going through in Dallas. He's in a new city, new team, new system. And I know people are like, well, it worked out well in Nashville. Well, yeah, because Nashville it was a different system. He just flopped right in and did his thing. Here, he had Ellis, and he had Ekholm, and he had a couple other guys on that blue line that, he wasn't the man. Here, he's the man. And maybe, that is the spotlight there's too is a little hurt, doesn't help him. Regardless, I think you're going to see him free up a little bit. I think there's just so much pressure on, him to perform, and because again, expectations, and I think that everybody needs to lower their expectations to what realistically what this team is, and maybe they start rolling, maybe they start putting wins together, maybe they start stringing stuff together. But as it stands right now, they're going to be looking at another lottery pick, but the distraction in the locker room is gone, and that's the most important thing.
And the most important thing this holiday season is for our listeners to know that the Devils are doing the right things, getting the details corrected, and having the draft coming upon us. I had another one of my coworkers say, the team's too hard to watch. I said, let me put it this way. Hines is gone, and I mentioned Hall's going to get traded. Now he's traded. I'm going to tell him next time, or you listen to this podcast, listen in closely. There's no more distractions. If there's any BS, those players are going to get moved, and there's no reason to not hold other people accountable. And this is going to be a locker room that's going to become a brotherhood once again. They're going to stick for one another. And having guys like Boqvist, Bratt, Hischier, Hughes, Gusev, it's time to play as a family and keep giving back the gift that keeps on giving, which is being a team and playing as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. Playing as a whole, playing as a team. And I keep emphasizing Colorado and Arizona games over the weekend. They played as a team. And that's the whole thing. The Devils are playing as a team. They got to get back to playing as a team. People could say to me, well, they had Elias, they traded for McGillney. He's a big name player. Oh, what about Stevens and Niedermeyer? What about Brodeur? All right, I'll give you Brodeur. I'll give you Stevens. I'll give you Niedermeyer. Elias, Arnott, Sikora played well as a line again. McGillney was good. Lou brought him in because Gomez needed a scorer. And those guys worked magic. And coming to New Jersey saved the second half of McGillney's career. And he was already a Hall of Famer, but he got his cup. But they also had a team element. Those third and fourth line guys, they weren't always relying on the top line to score. Yeah, they come through because they were good at what they did. But they had the grinders, and they played as a team, and they were all about team. It was never about one guy. Yeah, Marty was the man, but they all talked about how it was. They thanked their teammates for doing this and thanking their teammates for that, or my line mates for this. It wasn't about me, and that's what Taylor Hall was about. It was about himself looking out for number one, which that's fine, but you have to make it clear from the beginning, as we've said all along, that you didn't want to be here. Because it showed on the ice, it showed in your play, and when you struggled, it came out even further.
And this reminds me of Angels in the Outfield with Danny Glover. He was saying to his team after they completely blew a game, he goes, You don't even play as a team. You don't even look as a team. You don't even lose as a team. And now this team's starting to like turn that around. And, you know, when you change things up, I mean, you change the persona of how the team thinks, how the team philosophy is. You got to, like, you know, change the way, you know, the team processes things on and off the ice. And hopefully they dress better. They do things better together. They bond on the ice as a group that sticks up for each other. And, you know, you got to do this, especially with the Eastern Conference and the Metropolitan being such a stacked division. There's no reason to be slacking off. I know somebody just wrote an article saying that this is an underwhelming trade, and it's my editor-in-chief. I disagree. I doubt we would get a Bowen Byram or Broberg or a Trocheck or a Spencer Knight in this kind of thing, especially after recent players that have been recently drafted.
It wasn't going to happen. I want to emphasize again, it wasn't going to happen. They were not getting Byram. Again, 2 people I talked to said the same thing to me. Byram was not a part of any deal. So get it out of your head. They were never getting an elite defenseman.
Not when you have a guy that doesn't want to sign right away. I mean,
exactly.
It's one of those things. I know I partake in the discussions of that group, but I always try and, you know, say few but mean more when I put in my input, because, you know, if a player's not going to commit long term, it's like you know, do you want an engagement ring and a marriage? You really got to have it in your heart and your soul. And if you really don't have the heart and soul to be there, it's not meant to be. So, yeah, it's kind of like that relationship that's going sour with someone that you don't want to be with near in the long term. So why have it be that? And I'm glad that the Devils moved on from Taylor Hall, and I'm rather we have, you know, these young players, you know, over the next season, you know, bond together and stick together and play together and learn from each other. And hopefully the next coach embraces them and they embrace that coach and the new coaching staff together. And I know Jack Hughes will do a lot better now that Hall isn't around, and he can be the Jack Hughes of normal.
I think that also is a big key right there. I think it now takes the pressure. I think the pressure was on Hughes to perform at Hall, and I think now Hughes can just let go and just be himself and just start skating and just start being the man again. Now, I will say, people were saying, it's a good thing that he's not getting loaned to World Juniors. He's done everything he can at the junior level. Well, I might have said this before. I'll say it again. He didn't play in the tournament at all last year. Outside of a couple of games, he was injured. So we really didn't see him on full display in the tournament itself. Now, granted, he's accomplished everything he can accomplish at the junior level. I get it. But just to give the kid confidence in his ability and his game, it wouldn't have hurt.
And Jack did make it clear that in one of the skirmishes, especially, I believe it was with Matt Laughlin, he said to him that, I didn't even think about being loaned to Team USA for not even a second. And he said right away that he was focused on playing for the Devils and, not thinking about the name on the back, but the logo on the front. And that's the Herb Brooksian mindset that this kid has. And when you're dedicated to the team that has employed you from the day you were drafted, this is a special thing for me, not only as a podcaster, as a fan. This is like having that a child of yours grow up and show a full commitment to that family that is part of you for the next lifetime.
Yeah, and I like his mentality. Yeah, again, he didn't have the mindset, and Nasruddin said the same thing, that he wasn't getting loaned. It's fine. It was just a suggestion because, again, to give the kid confidence because, you see it when these scorers aren't putting the puck in the net or going through droughts and stuff.
And so, right now with the 2020-2021 offseason looming on July 1st, this is what the UFA, RFA situations are going to be. So Wayne Simmons is a free agent. Hayden, I don't see coming back one bit. Brett,
No.
I'm signing long term on a 3-year deal, or at least 2 years. Kevin Rooney, I don't want to bring back. He can go into the AHL or go elsewhere. Nothing against you, Rooney. Andy Green's likely going to retire. He's a UFA. If Sammy doesn't get traded, I look forward to re-signing him for another year or two. Especially after getting hit in the head a couple times this year. I said it about Mirka Mueller once before and again. I don't see him coming back as a restricted free agent. Cormier is already extended through 2021. 2020-2021. Blackwood is going to get at least 2 to 4 years as an RFA with a few years of free agency bought out.
Yeah, so I mean they're pretty much set. It'll be interesting to see who they go after goalie wise in the market, which we can do for another day. But again, those just hopping on and been with us, they're calling in from anywhere. Just to recap, Taylor Hall goes to the Arizona Coyotes in a trade that sends Nick Merkley, Nate Schmaltz, Kevin Ball, a conditional first-round pick, conditional third-round pick. Devils retain some salary, and Blake Spears goes to Arizona. That's the deal, and it's a fresh start for New Jersey.
And don't forget Nate Schnarr. So
yes, Nate Schnarr. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, hold on a second, you forgot one more guy.
I think I said him, but I might have mispronounced his name. So, but yeah. So
it always
a lot
happens.
of pieces, 4 to 5 pieces, exactly. 4 to 5 pieces went here, and Taylor Hall is now an Arizona Coyote, and that's the breaking news of the day.
And soup du jour basically got pretty warm today and pretty bold, kind of like a nice sharp cheddar. With broccoli and potatoes and leeks. It's a very good day thus far. I mean, sure, it's a foggy day in New Jersey, but it doesn't feel like that when you trade a guy like Taylor Hall to improve your future.
No.
The return on investment
it started
is right.
Return on investment is right. It started out as a slow morning, quiet morning, and it turned into a big, big day. And apparently Taylor Hall is going to wear 91 in Arizona.
91? Really?
Yeah.
I never thought about that. I guess he wants to sound like he's better than Jesper Boqvist.
I don't know.
I don't know what his reasoning is, but I think he could have worn number 4, but I don't know if you can wear number 4 in Arizona.
Oh, and by the way, just a little bit more since it's breaking news kind of day. Joel Fabry of the Philadelphia Flyers will get 3 games for his hit on Matthew Perreault in last night's game between the Jets and the Philadelphia Flyers. So I just want to throw that in there. Just a little bit more newsworthy notes of the day. 3 games, very reasonable. But again, the wheel of punishment spins. It lands where it lands. And there were some guys, a.k.a. Brendan Lemieux, not to pick on the Rangers, but he had a flagrant elbow, shall we say, to a head of a Vegas Golden Knight, and he only got fined So
There needs to be more than
There's
just
that.
a fine.
exactly.
Especially if you're trying to eliminate
If-
headshots.
If Fabry got 3 games for a late hit for interference, and he got nothing, I mean, like, you got that should have been at least a game. But anyway, again, Taylor Hall traded, Joel Fabry suspended. It's a good day.
It just feels like, a big weight has been uplifted from Santa's back a little bit, delivering a big gift for Ray Shiro to open, and who knows like what those gifts hold, and we'll see over time what they develop into. Maybe I should have referenced. Maybe it's more like a lab developing something interesting. But maybe the way the team is being built, it's just you got to build it young, and having 3 players like that, especially Ball was one of my key guys the last few days. I think he's going to be a really good player. I mean, people watch the World Juniors, the U20s, the U18s. I know you're probably watching college football. I know football for college just ended, but
I mean, it's bowl season. I mean, the big bowls happen on January 1st. A couple of the national semifinals on December 28th. Some good games. But get out there and watch the World Juniors, please. It's a good tournament to watch.
It's going to be Team USA starts off playing Canada. They play Germany. The other part goes to Czech Republic, all 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's in the preliminary round. So if anyone's wondering, NHL Network usually has a feed, and sometimes Reddit, gets you like
NHL Network will carry all the games for Team USA and then all the medal round games as well.
And it's always a great time, and there's going to be some prospects that the Devils have that will likely be in the tournament. So keep an eye out for Canada, keep an eye out for Team USA, and a couple other teams out there. We would like to get this podcast wrapped up soon. I
think we could put the finishing touches on it,
and I think we need to put a bow on it. And
yep.
And we need to also not only say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays,
Festivus. Don't forget
the Festivus pull.
Yeah.
Easy on the eggnog, everybody. Easy on the eggnog. Don't over. If you're gonna drink and drive, get an Uber or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't drink and drive, please, and stay at your buddy's house.
Please.
That's what they're there for.
Yes, and or book an Airbnb or something. But please, please be responsible. We are good people. We just want the world to be a great place. And when you're on Twitter, please don't troll others.
Yeah, that's not nice, especially the ladies out there, the females. Don't do that. You're better than that. Don't be like that. You're definitely better than that. Don't be doing things to our friend, especially Abby, who I'm gonna try to get in contact with today. See if maybe we can get her on.
We're certainly gonna have to get her on, especially
just with the reaction, maybe some reaction talk.
Have her document what not only what she wrote, but how she felt about the trade in itself. This is probably the biggest blockbuster she's dealt with in her first couple of years since joining the Devils, covering for Andrew Gross.
Yeah. So I mean, look, it's a day. It could be a sad day if you really like Taylor Hall. It could be a great day if you want to see the Devils to be progress. But you got to realize this: the Devils had to make this move. It had to get done. They could not bring him back. It wasn't. I don't want to say it was a cancer in the locker room, but he was a distraction, and it needed to go. And we wish him all the best. We do. So we'll see what happens. I think Arizona Arizona is going to be a good team. They need scoring. It's a good fit. It makes sense. What they got back is some good prospects, some picks. It makes sense, and that's pretty much it. I think New Jersey is going to be playing their team game again. Devils have practice tomorrow, so we'll probably get a lot of reaction. I know Taylor Hall was going to speak with Arizona media today. I'm trying to get a feed to it, but I can't seem to find one. And from there.
And I believe everyone should start following us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We are basically all over the map. And we have listeners in Australia. We have Canada, the U.S., some parts of Europe, especially Sweden. We would also like to thank our listeners for supporting our podcast. And if you want to support us, we are also on YouTube. So we're there, and go on our anchor.fm and bigheadsmedia.com page. Our podcast is on there, and you can listen to our episodes on that website by going to the Big Heads Media hockey part. Click there, Eastern Conference, New Jersey Devils. You'll see a logo that says the Jersey Joe Corner. Click that. That's where you'll find us too.
Yeah, and I will be doing a write-up tonight as well, just to recap the show, what we talked about. It's all Taylor Hall, obviously, and the breakdown of the prospects and the quick Joel Farabee thing. And, stay tuned for that. It should be out tonight, if not first thing tomorrow. And then, obviously, I've got some Devils things to work out. Also, do not miss. Predictions sure to go wrong every Thursday on Last Word on Hockey, because next week I am covering the World Juniors, and I will be doing Team USA versus Canada, Finland, Sweden, all the big matchups. So if you want to win some money, bet against me every time.
And I'm most certainly going to be covering those Team USA games, looking at who they play against and see who the Devils can draft. That's the Jersey Joe way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we could put a bow on it. I think we can wrap this up. We just want to thank our sponsor, Manscaped, for Big Heads Media, who sponsor this. They do a phenomenal job with grooming products. Don't forget 20% off when you use the code BIGHEADS, all in caps. And Devils trade Taylor Hall. More reaction, instant analysis on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. We got all that. We can basically redirect you to this wonderful site called Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, where you can find all your podcasts. LinkedIn, I'll be posting it. I'll be posted up on Facebook as well. And, yeah.
And we like to say thank you once again, Devils fans, hockey fans, new listeners to the show. Thank you. Let's go Devils. Let's go hockey.
Let's go Devils. Let's go hockey is right. And also, let's go Team USA.
Team USA all the way, although we may have some disagreements in the comments below. But we welcome
That's okay.
But we welcome that.
That's okay.
All right.
That's okay.
Happy
we welcome
holidays.
it.
Peace.
I bid you a fair adieu.
Adieu.